Before 1917, America saw itself as a distant observer of Europe's conflicts, safely tucked away behind vast oceans. But World War I changed everything. It wasn't just about battles fought overseas. It was a turning point that reshaped the very fabric of American life, politics, and identity in ways we still feel today. How did a war across the Atlantic transform a nation that prided itself on staying out of foreign entanglements? Let's dive in. When the U.S. entered the war in April 1917, it wasn't just with soldiers and guns, but with a powerful idea. President Woodrow Wilson declared America was fighting to make the world safe for democracy. This wasn't just a slogan for the battlefield. It became a new mission statement for the country itself. Suddenly, Americans began to expect more from their federal government, both at home and abroad. To fight a total war, the government had to take control like never before. New agencies like the War Industries Board and the Food Administration popped up, regulating everything from factory production and prices to what families ate for dinner. Rationing campaigns urged people to conserve wheat, meat, and fuel. Suddenly, your grocery list was an act of patriotism. This massive expansion of federal power permanently altered the relationship between the government and its citizens. What was once unthinkable became the new normal. The war effort also triggered massive social shifts. With millions of men overseas, factories and shipyards needed workers. This demand fueled the Great Migration, as hundreds of thousands of African Americans left the rural South for industrial jobs in northern cities. This reshaped the demographics of cities like Chicago and Detroit, igniting new cultural movements and political organizations. However, it also exposed deep racial tensions, leading to violent clashes and revealing the harsh realities of discrimination and segregation. Women's roles were also transformed. Millions stepped into jobs previously held by men, working in factories, on farms, and in offices. This experience didn't just help the war effort. It fueled the fight for women's equality. The momentum from their contributions was a key factor in the ratification of the 19th Amendment in 1920. Which finally gave women the right to vote and forever changed the American political landscape. But the war also revealed a darker side to American democracy. To silence criticism of the war, the government passed laws like the Espionage and Sedition Acts. Thousands of American journalists, activists, and even politicians were arrested and jailed simply for speaking out. This raised urgent questions about the balance between national security and free speech that we are still debating. A wave of anti-immigrant sentiment, especially against German Americans, swept the nation. German-language newspapers were shut down, foods were renamed, and communities were harassed, showing how quickly fear can be used to redraw the lines of who is considered a true American. Politically, the war concentrated immense power in the hands of the president. Woodrow Wilson, as authority over the economy and foreign policy, set new precedents that would be followed by future presidents during the Great Depression, World War II, and the Cold War. The executive branch grew stronger, and the trend toward a powerful central government was firmly established. Yet, the war's most telling political legacy might be what happened after it ended. Wilson's grand vision for a League of Nations, designed to prevent future wars, was rejected by the U.S. Senate. Many Americans feared that permanent international alliances would drag the nation into endless conflicts. This rejection marked a retreat into isolationism that defined American foreign policy for the next 2 decades. It highlighted a fundamental tension that still exists in American politics: the pull between global idealism and the desire to protect national sovereignty. The social unity forged during the war proved fragile. Once the fighting stopped, the country was rocked by economic turmoil, massive labor strikes, and political paranoia. The first Red Scare saw widespread fear of communism and anarchism, leading to mass arrests and deportations. The war had shown how easily fear of internal enemies could be weaponized, leaving a legacy of suspicion toward dissent that would linger for decades. Economically, however, the war was a game changer. The United States emerged from the conflict not as a debtor, but as the world's leading creditor and industrial powerhouse. The center of global finance shifted from Europe to Wall Street, positioning America as a dominant force in the world economy. Returning veterans were celebrated as heroes, but they also faced immense challenges. The struggle to provide them with jobs, medical care, and psychological support sparked the first national conversations about the government's duty to those who served, laying the groundwork for future policies like the GI Bill. Culturally, the war shattered the optimism of the pre-war era. Writers and artists of the lost generation expressed a deep sense of disillusionment and alienation. They questioned traditional values and authority, fostering a more critical and cynical public attitude that shaped the political debates of the Roaring Twenties and beyond. The government also learned a powerful lesson in public persuasion. The Committee on Public Information used posters, films, and speeches to mobilize public opinion on an unprecedented scale. This demonstrated the immense power of mass media in modern politics, but it also raised ethical questions about government propaganda that are more relevant than ever in our digital age. From race relations to the role of women, from the power of the president to the rights of citizens, World War I was a crucible that forged modern America. It exposed deep contradictions in the nation's ideals, but also accelerated profound social and political changes. The war created a belief that government could solve big problems, but also a deep-seated skepticism about federal overreach. Ultimately, the story of America's involvement in World War I is more than just a history lesson. It's a story about how a nation redefines itself in a time of crisis. It shows how the choices made under pressure can echo for generations, shaping not just who we were, but who we have become, and who we might be when the next great challenge arrives. Thanks for watching. If you found this interesting, please like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into the moments that shaped our world. See you next time.